have a panel discussion with the Deloitte volunteers. So we're gonna try to be quick. We have 20 minutes. I have some questions for the Deloitte team, and at the end I will have some questions for you, for the audience. So please feel free to share your experience with us, ask questions, so you know you can keep yourself engaged with us. All right. So starting with you, Jesse.
There must be other people.
You talked about.
Yeah. So my first question would be, could you please, Jesse, tell us about yourself and about your experience when you first joined Deloitte?
Yes, so I graduated from the University of Western Ontario. It's in London. And I decided to come home back to Calgary, and it just so happened that at the time they were building their supply chain practice. So I jumped on board, and I was kind of taken under the wing of that guy over there. And so since that day, I've kind of been doing, I've worked with a number of different oil and gas companies. I think consulting and Deloitte in general is a monster in itself. There's just so many people that work here. There are so many different styles of work. There are so many different cultures. And I think on my first project, I worked with 10 different individuals, and I was the only Canadian on the project. There were 9 other passports. So you look at a scenario or a project like that, and it's so much about how you work with different people with different backgrounds and maybe different ways of doing things. And I think that is something very important when you join any company that you want to work for, is that keep in mind that everybody has a different style of work and everyone has a different approach to a problem, and it's about being patient with those people, but also learning from the things that they most likely do better than yourself.
Wonderful, thank you, Jesse. My next question would be for Amrik. And Amrik, today we're having an Deloitte Impact Day. So we want to give back to the community and make it effective. In your opinion, what does effective networking event looks like?
Well, the key takeaway, I think, is at the end of the day, if you have found one new connection in your life, which can help you develop your further network or help you to develop relationships, I think that's the definition of success, right? I've seen generally people trying to meet a lot of people and not meeting anyone, right? So it's not about collecting business cards, it's about connecting to a person who you can relate to, who can remember you, and you can further strengthen your relationship.
Right, thank you, Amrik. My next question is for the HR lady. Sorry, I don't need to.
It's okay, I always get caught up.
So, since you work in the HR field, your name is?
Jenna, that's
Jenna.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Jenna. So since you work in the HR field, what are the qualities and characteristics that makes a successful candidate?
I mean, it's going to vary depending on what people are applying for. But I mean, the important qualities and characteristics are going to be something that is, like your education and your experience, obviously, that's what everyone's going to highlight. I think if you can show what stands, or how you stand out from the pack, that's going to be what's going to kind of get you to the top of that pile. So there's not, of course, some roles are going to have certain things that they're looking for, so you're going to have to have those qualifications. But I think overall, showing that you're a well-rounded individual and not negating some of the past experience you might have that you might not think is relevant. I know we talked about transitional jobs before and people thinking that they should leave those off resumes. There's a lot of skills that you gain going through life, having the different backgrounds that you guys have and coming from different places and doing different positions and meeting different people and coming from different walks of life. So don't forget to highlight some of those things. So I don't think that there's any one thing to say that you have to have those qualifications or skills, but really just highlighting what makes you unique and showing what you can bring to the table, rather than trying to copy someone else that you see that works there and trying to be exactly like them. So I think having that diversity is what sort of makes a successful project going forward. So
thank you, Jenna. I appreciate it. So I need a candidate who travels a lot inside Deloitte. All right, and
Flavio.
I'm Flavio. Flavio. So we know sometimes that Deloitte, requires from the employees to travel a lot, either across the provinces of Canada and sometimes outside Canada, maybe to the United States. So how would you describe the work-life balance inside Deloitte?
I can definitely answer this from my own perspective, and I think everyone has a slightly different view on this.
I do travel quite a bit. I actually spent 7 months in Colombia, South America last year, and that's my record. Under those circumstances, it can be difficult to manage your work and life. At the same time, I think it comes down to knowing what your boundaries are, knowing what makes you comfortable, how much space you need for yourself, and how much space you feel like you have to dedicate to your work. And that definitely depends from person to person and from circumstance to circumstance. Deloitte does value work-life balance, even in circumstances where we do need to travel a lot and we're away from home. There are opportunities to make up for that time. That can be difficult, but can be managed. I know from other colleagues of mine that the culture here is supportive of people that value life outside of work, and that's what makes it a fun place to be.
Thank you, love you. My next question would be for Amandeep.
Yeah.
Hello, Amandeep. According to your experience, how important is for the job seeker to have a LinkedIn profile?
So personally, I think it's important, like given the day and age that we are in, having a up-to-date, relevant LinkedIn profile is kind of your digital elevator pitch, if you like, right? Like if I'm just scrolling the internet and I want to find somebody, that's really become a go-to place for finding things. So I think it is very important. I think that doesn't replace the other things, like you still need to do with your networking and you still need to do everything else that you do, but yes, it is an additional tool that has great potential to be leveraged.
Thank you. And my next question is for you. Your name is?
Gagan.
In your opinion, how important is volunteering is, and would it still be considered a Canadian experience?
Yeah, definitely. In my experience, volunteering is very important. It contributes to some of the missing items which you don't have in your professional experience. Let's say if someone has worked in an accounting firm for a long time and they doesn't really have a leadership experience, but they have that similar leadership experience through the volunteering activities, that's going to stand out and it's going to tell a recruiter or the interviewer that he's capable of leading a good project or a good team, and he's capable of working with different diverse cultures or different kind of people. So it's very important in my opinion because it just stands out in your resume to have that life experience.
Thank you. I still have 2 more questions for the Deloitte team and 1 for the audience. I'm going to try to be quick. Jesse.
You have 15 minutes to do whatever you want for 15 minutes.
All right, that's great. So, Jesse, according to your experience, are there certain certification or license that you will be looking for when hiring someone?
I don't know if I'm the best person to answer this question because I have no certification. Any certs,
I think it depends what people are applying for. So there'll be certain areas that you're working for at Deloitte or wherever you are that will require a certain designation or a certain certification. So you would want to know that obviously going in. Sometimes you can do that as you're working as well. You can gain a designation at the same time as when you're working because we would support that as well, and lots of other firms and companies would as well. I don't know what was the rest of the question?
So let's say if someone would like to apply for
Yeah.
a position that requires a CPA, but he's willing to start, studying.
Yeah.
Would you take that into consideration?
Yeah, I mean, we do have people that are students that are going through the programs as well. So I think, talking about that in your cover letter, if that is something that you want to pursue. But I wouldn't just put it in there if it's just something that you think that we want to hear. If you actually, because it takes a lot of time and effort. I'm sure anyone that knows that has a designation, it's not just a quick thing to get. So if it really is truly something you're passionate about that you want to pursue, then I would talk to them about that during the interview process and say you're interested in going through that. If it is something that you're truly interested in, because we would obviously consider people that, if you don't have it yet, but you're trying to, depending on obviously the level of the role, but.
And just to add to that, it's kind of hypocritical for me to say because I don't have any certifications or designations, but if you want to become a financial planner, you need to have your Canadian securities. Like there are some essentials, right?
Yeah.
But there are also those designations that will make you stand out in a crowd, right? There are designations that many people may not get or may not even realize exist. And so those are the things that you may want to consider. I'm not going to tell you to go out and do certification in basket weaving, but there are certain things that will make you stand out, and those are the things you need to consider when making the decision if you're going to go and get more education.
Thank you, Jesse. Amrik, back to you. And this is my last question because the one I had before, I think Jesse targeted, it was related to the how would you define a good elevator speech?
Mm-hmm.
So Amrik, last year we gathered here, I remember, and Canada was facing economical challenges. So according to your experience, would you say the economy is recovering? And what are you seeing more hiring, let's say inside Deloitte this year compared to last year?
You do know, right? I'm not Trudeau, right? Is the hiring, is it going up? Yes, it is. The talent, so we did just for information, 2 weeks back, we had a big session called Deloitte 360. And one of the topics was about the workforce. And what we realized is, in last 5 years, we have lost 30% of the workforce due to economic downturn, layoffs or what have you. And we're expecting another 30% to go away in the next 5 years because of the age factor. The whole demographics, we're going to have baby boomers going away. So there is going to be a gap of talent, and the talent is required at the end of the day. Oil is going up and down as is a commodity level, but having said that, that is not impacting that job so much. Companies are looking for talent, and primarily to fill the second gap, which is bound to happen. First was by choice, but the second one is going to happen just because of the conditions we are in.
Thank you, Amrik. So my last question would be for the audience. And would anyone would like to share their experience or ask any questions for the Deloitte team, regarding your job search strategy or career path? Yes, Chris.
All right, I'd like to know where in the CV should include your soft skills? Where in the CV should I include my soft skill? My people skill?
I would put it first in the cover letter to begin with, because soft skills are equally important to technical skills, and that's why I wanted to reflect on the previous question of certification.
Okay.
Certification only takes you so much. They tell you how to do the job. They tell you what's important from the technical aspect, but at the end of the day, you're working with other people. And your soft skills is what the EQ level starts coming in. And I think you have to reflect that in your cover letter and even in your resume, right? When you're saying, go back to the example, I created a database, who cares? But if you create it with a team, if you say, I work with a team to develop a database, that's a very different lens, because now you have brought in that you're a team player. You're self-motivated, like bring those words in, both in the cover letter and the resume. Try not to be an I so much, try to make it we, try to bring those soft skills lenses in. The flavor should be there, and at the end of the day, that's how do you put the language around your resume is what's important to reflect that. You don't have to say, oh, I am a team player.
Okay.
Word, show it, right? Show it in your resume. How did that happen? Everybody can say I'm a team player, right? Okay, so what? Right?
Well, thank you, Deloitte volunteers.
If there are more audience questions, we have.
Oh yeah, definitely. Any other question? Please go ahead.
Okay. I just want to share my experience about attending networking events and how to the impact in the job search during job search. I've been here for a year and I've attended various networking events organized by Immigrant Services Calgary, and this have actually been very helpful to me, because even after the event, the take home I get I need to meet some people after the event to talk further about what they do, because I'm interested, and at the event I try to get maybe some few call cards, business cards, and try to connect immediately after the event, we'll thank them for meeting with us, the time and everything, and ask if they'll be available to have coffee meetings with me. And though some might be, I'll say the reception generally has been very good, really, because even if they can't meet with me, people tend to refer me to I don't think I'm the best person to talk to. I would like to refer you to my colleague who can do this. And in doing that, I'll say persistence matters, and being patient too, and understanding that the people you're planning to meet with are busy professionals, and you have to really like find a middle ground in helping them. Like, okay, if they want to meet with you, what can you do to make this convenient for them to meet with you, instead of having to like, okay, having them to travel down like 10 minutes away from their office. I offer to like, okay, meet them somewhere very close to the office so that they won't have to waste time. Like, even if it's 30 minutes, they're ready to meet with me. I try to go straight to the point, and after the event, I've had various coffee meetings with people, not even only in Deloitte, different organizations, and it has really been very helpful. I've gotten some interviews through it and some referrals, very good referrals, that the network I'm still keeping it active at the moment. So I would say after attending this event, people should try as much as possible to not to just go away from it, like try to make good use of it, meet with people afterwards, like, and be patient, because you don't expect them to meet with you in like, in 1 month or in 2 weeks or something. Be persistent and be patient, and you'll get something good from it.
Sure. Thank you for sharing. Any other question? Would you like to share? Will you summarize this? All right, so Deloitte volunteers, thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate it. And on behalf of Immigrant Services Calgary, thank you for all the newcomers participating today. I would like to remind you that we will send you an online survey this evening. Please feel free to share your experience with us. Your feedback matters for us, so it will help us improve our service. Thank you, everyone.
And I guess, we have just a couple of minutes here. I think what we wanted to do in these last few minutes is give you the opportunity to, informally network with some of the volunteers that are here. One last kind of comment is that, like I think it came up, the Calgary job market is not a great place to be looking for jobs right now. And although I recommend you be optimistic, do not get down on yourself if you're not getting the follow-up coffees or the follow-up interviews or even the follow-up job offers. It will come, right? I remember when I first started applying to consulting firms, I didn't get a response back for any of the applications that I submitted. And that's probably for good reason, but eventually Deloitte made the mistake, and they gave me the interview, and they actually gave me the job somehow. So, and then here I am today. So, at the end of the day, keep going at it. Eventually, something will work out, and it may be that random person I think someone mentioned that you just bump into in an elevator, and that's the end that you get to that company. And these opportunities can come from anywhere, right? Thank you. We really appreciate you coming too, because we want to see the best, the best from you. So, thank you.